All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're taking a look at a really strange and honestly a kind of disturbing society. See, it's a world that runs on one single, totally bizarre rule. Where you're allowed to sit depends entirely on what your name rhymes with. And you're about to see not everybody's a fan of the new system. And this quote, well, it just says it all, doesn't it? This is where our story begins, with one very, very unhappy cat. His personal comfort has just been thrown out the window for the sake of a rhyme, and he's not having it. But what exactly pushed him to say this? So, here's the deal. The entire world has been turned upside down because the rules about where you can sit have all changed. And our main guy, the cat, he's the first one to realize just how bad this new reality is going to be. And this is where you really start to feel for the poor guy. I mean, life used to be good. Cats sat on mats. Simple, right? Comfortable. Made sense. But bam, overnight there's a new rule. Now cats have to sit on gnats. And as the cat himself says, gnats are nasty and nibbly. And well, they bite him on the bottom. Not great.
So you have to ask, who's the genius behind this brilliant idea? Who would come up with a system like this? Well, it turns out the mastermind behind this whole new world order is one single and kind of smug-looking amphibian.
And here he is. Meet the frog. He's the one calling all the shots. And, what do you know, his very first rule change was one that helped himself out. You see, dogs used to sit on frogs, which you can imagine was not a great situation if you were a frog. So he just decided, no, from now on, dogs will sit on logs. Problem solved. For him, anyway.
And if you had any doubt about what kind of a leader this frog is, this quote says it all. The dog is a little worried that the other animals might not be thrilled with their new seats, but the frog's response is just ice cold. This is not up for debate. You don't have to like it, you just have to do it. Okay, so now that he's made sure he's safe and comfortable, the frog starts rolling out his rhyming law for the entire animal kingdom. And let me tell you, things get out of hand fast. At first, the new rules are mostly just odd. You know, bears on stairs, that's a little inconvenient. Slugs on plugs? Seems like a safety issue. And flies on pies? Come on, that's just a waste of a good dessert. It's weird, but maybe manageable. But oh, believe me, he was just getting warmed up. The logic of the rhyme had to be followed, no matter how ridiculous or uncomfortable or even downright painful it got. And this is where the whole system just goes completely off the rails. I mean, whales on nails, poodles on noodles, and puppies on actual living, breathing guppies? There is zero concern for anyone's well-being here. It's just a crazy, obsessive focus on making things rhyme. But among all of these absolutely bonkers rules, there is one, just one, that stands out as the absolute peak of ridiculousness, the most undignified of them all. Yep, you heard that right. Elephants, the biggest land animals on the planet, are now legally required to sit on someone's dirty laundry. Even the dog, who's been on board with this whole thing, is shocked. But the frog, he doesn't even blink. Okay, let's get back to our hero, the cat. Because while everyone else is suffering, he's just not willing to accept a lifetime of gnat bites. He starts thinking, if the whole system is just based on words, then maybe he can change the words. And you can just see the gears turning in his head. His logic is perfect. Okay, step 1, a cat has to sit on a gnat. We hate that. Step 2, the dog points out that a kitty could sit on something pretty. Okay, better. But then the cat has a stroke of genius. What if he calls himself a mog? And what rhymes with mog? Dog. It's brilliant. He hacked the system. By just changing his name, he found a loophole that gives him a much comfier place to sit. For a second there, it really looks like the little guy won. But there's one last hidden rule in the frog's game. And this is where everything flips on its head. The cat, in his clever attempt to beat the system, has accidentally exposed a massive hypocrisy right at the very heart of the frog's new laws. So the dog finally asks the million-dollar question, the one question that changes everything. If every single animal has to follow these ridiculous, painful rhyming rules, what in the world are frogs supposed to sit on? The answer? Sun lounges. Yeah, not clogs, not blogs. Sun lounges. It doesn't rhyme. It isn't uncomfortable. It's pure luxury. So while whales are sitting on nails and elephants are on smelly pants, the frog, the guy who made up all the rules, has given himself a very cozy, non-rhyming exception.
And that's when you realize this was never really about rhymes. This is a perfect example of power. I mean, the very definition of tyranny is when the person making the rules doesn't have to follow them. The frog isn't a lawmaker. He's a full-blown tyrant.
And that really brings us to the final big idea here. The cat didn't start a revolution. He decided to find a clever loophole. He played the frog's absurd game, but he played it smarter. And it makes you wonder, when you're faced with a system that's just fundamentally unfair, what's the better move? To just go along with it, or to try and find a way to beat it at its own game?